Good evening. This is a public meeting of the Lowell Zoning Board of Appeals for September 9th, 2013. Tonight we have one continuance and 4 petitions under new business. I'd like to remind everyone, if you plan on speaking on behalf of a petition, that you please sign in at the podium before addressing the board. Our first matter before us is under continuances. This is ZB 2013-22. The petition's a variance. The applicant is Rita and Ada Grizzo. The property is located at 154 Perry Street, and the petition is to construct a new 3-car garage with living space above without meeting TTF dimensional requirements pursuant to section 5.1 and 11.2 of the zoning ordinance. Morning, ma'am. How are you? Good to see you. So you were here back on August 12th.
Yes, I was.
And if memory serves me right, we had a discussion with the board, and we asked that you maybe sit down with the city department and review your plans. So with that said, can you just update me where we're at as of tonight?
Okay, basically I came into the office and I spoke with the lady that she sent me 2 emails, and I told her that I was gonna give up and not come in, and she suggested that I should come in and try to negotiate something to see if I can still be able to do something regarding my, construction.
Okay.
And today I did bring the gentleman that is going to be in charge of doing, that I'm hiring to do the construction, and he'll be able to explain more or less the sizes and the stuff that I'm not aware of more, he knows more than me. So if you guys would like to hear it and maybe can agree on something, maybe I can still be able to build something for my, comfort, and also,
Mm-hmm.
that you guys would be able to agree.
Yeah, so you never had a formal meeting with the Department of Planning and Development to go over the plans?
No.
Okay. So we haven't received, as far as I'm concerned, you're back here again with the original plans that you submitted back 2 meetings ago.
Exactly, but we also have ideas that we could come up with to see if you guys would agree with it, and then we'd go on from there.
Okay, so one of the issues I have is I don't have anything, and neither does the board. We don't have anything that shows us, if you want to make some revisions. We've had nothing to study or review at this point. Aaron, did you receive any revised plans?
No, they didn't, because she didn't tell me I needed to send something when I came in and speak
Who
with
was she
her.
referring to?
I believe Ms. Rizzo had a conversation with Swati on Friday, was it?
Friday,
Yeah,
yes.
Okay.
my understanding of the conversation was that Ms. Rizzo was not going to show up to the meeting tonight
Yeah.
without having any additional plans. Swati had encouraged her to at least show up and indicate that, at least at that point, there would be no additional plans to show the board. And at that point, she would have multiple options. One, rather than just presumably dealing with the denial in the case of not addressing concerns from the last meeting, there's the potential for withdrawing at this point and then potentially regrouping, which is a better long-term solution, I think, for the applicant than just an outright denial.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Well, that was what Aaron just described is where I was going to go next with this. I think based on what we had asked a couple of meetings ago, and since you haven't formally met with the department, you have a couple of different options. I mean, one would be to proceed ahead, but I would caution you, if you're denied on your plan, then you can't come back here for another 2 years. Another option you have is you could just withdraw the petition, come back some other day with some new plans, resubmit a new application, and go through the process again.
Well, if he explains to you, or we had an idea of would that help, and see if you
Well,
guys
no,
approve?
see, the problem I have is I don't have anything to look at. I know we had the plans from before,
Right,
and we talked about those plans.
right,
But and I'm gonna speak for myself, my expectation was, we had asked that you probably come back down with the city, go through the set of plans again, maybe talk about some alternatives, or if you were steadfast that you wanted to proceed with what you had presented to the board, then we would proceed at that point. I mean, unless one of the other board members wants to speak, just to take out the plans again and say, oh, by the way, I think we gave you a pretty good indication of what our concerns
the problem
were.
was with the
Yep.
case, mostly that I noticed that there was a subject on was regarding the parking, that we needed to go back 25 feet, right? And I was just trying to see if at least you could give in and let us go just 15 feet instead of the 25 feet, and basically will give us enough backyard for us to use if we go just 15 feet back instead of 25 feet back. And I know that, I don't know which one had mentioned, instead of going with a 3-car garage, to move down to a 2-car garage, which I went home, spoke with my husband, and spoke with a gentleman here that's doing the construction. He says we could do it, the 2-car garage, if there's a big subject regarding a 3-car garage and the 3 rooms, we could do the 2-car garage and 2 rooms above. It still would help us by doing that. But the 25 feet, it takes my backyard. The 15 feet, I still have a little backyard that I can have the children play, and we enjoy our backyard barbecues and whatever. So, family gatherings and stuff. So that's to keep on this plan here. That would be our suggestion. It's going to depend on you people if you agree.
Yeah. Well, any other board members have any comments?
Yes, to you, Mr. Chairman. I think you got the general message from the board last meeting that, your original plan, there was too much going on for your lot, really.
Right.
And we want to help you here, but we would like it taken down to, say, maybe a 2-car garage. But what we don't want is that when a car is parked, if the garage door is closed and you have a vehicle in front, that vehicle cannot come on the sidewalk or the street.
Right,
If that's a problem, then we probably won't be able to accommodate you.
right,
So, sacrifices have to be made. If you want a garage, an extra living space, you may have to sacrifice your backyard.
Right.
Your lot is only so big. So you have to figure out which way you want it, what's more important to you.
Well, the 15 feet, yesterday we were out there, we were measuring it again. The 15 feet, it would be sufficient to have the cars in the garage and also some cars parked in the front of the garage the long way, that it wouldn't interfere with the sidewalk and it wouldn't interfere on the street.
Okay, well,
know?
we'll need plans. So if you still want to go forward, looks like you're still interested in doing something. As the chairman say, you can withdraw for the time being, make up new plans, come back to the board again. That's just one recommendation.
We need to restart everything to transfer to a 2-car garage?
Yeah, you'll be starting the process over. Aaron, would she be doing a whole new application and advertising all over again?
If there's a withdrawal, correct, it would be
Yes.
basically starting the process over.
So it would be a little cost-effective for her to maybe continue it, draw another 30 days, say. I don't mind waiting. I don't know how the other board members feel, but,
Board
she...
wishes, that's an option.
Yeah, at least you won't have to pay another application fee, you won't have to pay for advertising again if we continue it. You could work with your designer and, so a plan that works, but again, a big concern of this board is that those vehicles, the back end of these vehicles cannot be on the street.
Okay.
Okay, so, that's just my comments. We
But
wanna help-
it's okay if the vehicles are parked the long way from the garage, correct?
The long way, that could...
It would fit 2 cars in the long way, of the garage. And also, if I'm bringing down to a 2-car garage, it gives me enough room to put 2 cars on the side of the garage that I'm not gonna be able to build that extra garage.
Yep, okay, I see where you're coming from there. But the parking sideways might get a little tricky, but,
Okay.
you know, but you're gonna work with your designer and city officials. They'll be glad to help you on this and see what works, and they'll coach you, so to speak, along the way, and to see what works. So those are my thoughts. You may want to continue it for at least 30 days, at least, and, you know, go back to the drawing board, so to speak. But those are my comments. I'd like to see what the other board members have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. I personally feel that cars parked parallel in front of garage doors is a difficulty, and I'm not a fan of it at all. I know that zoning does require that the setback for the garage is 25 feet. I think that a typical car space is measured 9 by 18 or 18 feet deep. So a minimum for our cars in the city of Lowell is 18 feet. And then the garage depth could probably be accommodated in a 20-foot dimension and still provide adequate space for your car to fit in the garage. So I think with a minimal space between your property line and your garage, maybe 18 feet and a
18 feet.
20-foot depth, you would still be able to get your backyard that you're looking for.
Okay.
So I think that
So
you
you're saying
could-
18 instead of the 15?
I personally feel that the parallel parking is, it might work for you,
Right,
but I don't think that it's a good choice.
okay,
So for me
Yeah.
personally,
okay.
that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to clarify that that the petitioner understands that the continuance will require a new set of plans. The application process is not going to be, obliged, because if you're not going to withdraw with prejudice, that you're going to have to come back with a complete set of plans. So I would strongly suggest that you, in the next set of plans, you detail out everything that the board has brought to your attention
Yeah.
in conjunction with your contractors, so that we have a complete package. As
Okay.
we all know, time is of the essence here.
Okay.
If you're looking to move forward,
Yeah.
it is New England. We're trying to work with you in the spot that you have. I would also caution you on looking at, when you just made that comment, you wanted to put another, like a side driveway, it almost appears it's gonna be, in
Well,
lieu of that third garage spot. I quite frankly would have you take a double look at that being a 2-car spot. And maybe want to reduce that to a 1. So if you have the 2 in the garage and you're gonna parallel, that gives you 3, then that gives you 4. I'm pretty confident that's ample parking. I'd hate to see you go through the entire process with new plans and then come back, and now you're gonna be looking for a 2-car driveway, which is just, basically, you're just eliminating the structure around it.
It wouldn't be 2-car driveway.
The parallel and the
Together would be one
elongated
after
way
the other.
to the far left,
Yeah,
they'd be
exactly.
abutting each other.
Yes, that's what it would be.
I would just, as Mr. McCarthy just mentioned, with that 18 feet, like the zoning,
Right.
and then green space issues that I know are gonna come about, I just wanted to be clear that, you understand that the board is fully,
Okay.
accepting to work with you, but you will have to do those criterias, and I'm sure Aaron will explain it better in detail, but I just don't want there to be any
Yeah,
confusion.
that's what
'cause if we
she had told me. She said for me to come in and maybe we could talk and stuff, and I can get the right measurements that you guys were looking for, and maybe we could agree on something, because I'd hate to go through the whole process all over again, spend all that money again, and end up hearing a no again. I mean, it makes no sense. That's what I had told her. I says, I don't even want to go. I just, you just put a note on my file and just say that, I'm not gonna do it. And she says, you should go. She says, the first time, not everybody hears an okay, you'd be surprised what you can hear. So That's why I came in.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure that you understand you should be concise, complete, and clear with a new set of plans, and have that in front of us to review prior, because I think it, in your words, negotiation might not be in the best interest moving forward. I just want to,
Right.
because we do want to work with you on the project, because
Okay.
we understand your family situation, so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other comments? So I guess, you know, based on the comments from the other board members, you know, I don't have an issue with continuing it.
Okay.
But as I stated originally, we have the changes you're talking about, we have nothing before us.
I wish I
And
knew.
and frankly, to sit here now and try to run through the stuff and you show us, that's not
Right.
gonna
Right.
be
I
very,
understand.
very efficient. So, one thing I want to definitely point out, now, I believe you received from the city, the first time you came in here, was there comments about certain aspects of your plans? Aaron, I'm
I
pretty
believe
sure I asked Joe that the petitioner received, you know, the overview that we get from DPD. And there was, you know, some lengthy comments here around site plan analysis, and I just want to make sure, because it was pointed out how there were some deficiencies in the
Right.
preparation of the plans.
Yep.
I just want to make sure that the petitioner understands those again. So I think it'd be very helpful that you might come down again to the city and talk to somebody down there about what they wrote up. That way, it'll be more efficient for both us and for yourself. There's no sense going back and forth. You come here again and we start debating this again, so.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure you understand totally, you know, what we as a board need to take a look at,
Okay.
especially when we're talking about revisions.
Okay.
So with that said, Aaron, I guess maybe we'll push this out a couple more meetings. Do you have
October 14th is the first meeting in October. If-
October 14th?
Yeah, if you want to give it a month.
Yeah, it's a Columbus Day weekend, I believe. Is that
Oh,
Wednesday or
you're right.
Thursday?
So that would be
Very good, man.
17th, October 17th.
Thursday, October 17th.
Correct.
Okay, so
Thursday, October 17th.
one of the things that usually comes up when we have revisions is I usually ask that we see the revised plans before the meeting.
Okay.
So I would, I guess, strongly suggest that if you can at least get the plans back to the city for the revisions,
Right.
at least a week before. So if we're going to meet on October 17th, you know, around October 10th, if they can get back into the city.
Oh, no, if I knew I had to bring up something for you guys to see before, I would have brought it. But when I went on Friday, I went to tell her only that I wasn't even going to show up. So basically she said, no, don't do that. She says, because you heard a no the first time, don't mean you're going to hear a no again. So she says, go in the front of them, speak with them, let them know what you want, and they're going to let you know what they want, and that's how you're going to agree.
Well, I think I just explained what we need.
Yeah, you did, definitely.
So-
Now I'm more
so
into it, yeah.
I think you have sufficient time again
So now I
to get
prepare
prepared.
everything and I bring it into them, and then I'm all set for the 17th,
Yeah,
correct?
that way each of us can take a look at your plans. That way, when we meet the next time, we've already had a chance to look at them,
All right,
and we
okay.
can discuss the changes you want to propose.
I appreciate it,
Okay.
thank you.
So again, I would strongly suggest you might want to contact DPD again to talk about
Oh, definitely, I
the
will.
original comments
Yeah.
and about the new set of plans.
Definitely, I will.
Any other
Yeah.
comments? Okay, so I'd like a motion to continue, please.
Through you,
Thank
Mr. Chairman, the matter before us is EB 2013-22 for a variance at 154 Perry Street. I make a motion to approve a continuance to October 17th, 2013.
Have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Belanger,
Continue.
Mr. Bailey,
Continue to October 17th.
Mr. Perrin,
Continue to October 17th.
Mr. Ahern,
Continue to October 17th.
Mr. McCarthy.
Continue.
Okay, ma'am, we'll see you
Thank you,
hopefully on October 17th.
thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Okay, next matter before us is under new business. This is ZB 2013-27, and the petition's a special permit under signs. The applicant is Carolyn Parker, NW Sign Industries. Property is located at 802 Rogers Street, and the petition is to install new signage as part of a rebranding for Sanditor, formerly Sovereign Bank, pursuant to Section 6.3 of the zoning ordinance. Ms. Parker, yeah?
Sure it's not 794 Roger Street? I'm sorry.
I'm reading what's
Yes.
in front of me for the, Aaron, that's on the,
The agenda may be incorrect, Mr. Chairman, but the application does state 794 Rogers Street.
no, it says 802, it says 794.
Yeah, the application is stated correctly, so I think we're good.
Okay.
I think the master address is 802, but it's the same project at 794 to
Okay.
802.
Just reading what was presented to me on the agenda. All right, so we're here for 794.
Correct.
I know you're here for a different petition also, but we'll entertain 794 first.
Correct.
So if you want to explain to us what the plan is out there at 794 Rogers.
Okay, just for the record, my name is Dave Diola with Image One. Carolyn is just a permit expediter who filled out the information for us. So I believe that you guys received, all the plans and you guys received the emails with what the building inspector was looking for? Some of the issues?
Yes.
There should be like a letter.
I'm sorry. If you're referring to the comments received back from
Yes.
DPD? Yep.
Okay.
We have those, yep.
All right, well, at this particular location, we are proposing for the pylon sign to reface the sign and remove the existing structure that sits on top of the cabinet. So it's a like-for-like swap. That's for the pylon sign. And then if you flip through the package to the next page for EO2, we are proposing to remove the channel letters on the front of the building and replace them with channel letters on a red ACM background panel.
Okay.
EO3, we're going to reface the monument sign that's currently existing and paint the cladding a cool gray to match the new colors of the standards. EO4 is a directional sign, and there's a quantity of 2 of them on the location. And we'd be swapping them out like for like and adding a decorative gray cladding to match the monument sign. I'm sorry, there's a quantity of 5 total on the property. EO7 is a clearance sign, and there is going to be 2 of these. One is going to be a clearance, and one is going to be a drive-up teller sign. We're replacing these exactly like for like, except the colors to change from black to red. If you go to EO8, is a do not enter sign, a Department of Transportation sign, and we are swapping this out. The old one is extremely faded and very hard to see now, and we're going to replace it with a new one. EO9 is a ATM surround. The ATM that's currently there is going to be removed at this particular location and centered a little bit better in the building, and a new surround will be placed around it.
Okay, if I can just
Yep.
hold you up there. We have, for 794, we have EO 1, 2, 3, unless my package is different. Then we go to 9. So I'm not sure, I think you mentioned, yeah, I know you have, on the last page we have here.
I'm not sure, actually. I have just a full packet. I'm not sure if, for this matter,
Yeah.
we had to bring up the directional signs for the ZBA.
So some of the things you just explained, we don't even have in front of us.
I'm sorry, I wasn't.
Aaron, do
Mr.
you know if,
I think they're non-illuminated when I drove through, so we're only concerned with the illuminated
illuminated signs, okay.
Internally illuminated.
I'm sorry about that for the
yeah,
confusion. I was just
because I'm looking at your chart on the very last page. I see EO 7 says canopy sign.
Yeah, okay. So I was just explaining the full package.
Okay.
I was.
All right.
So you guys have EO9 then, after that one, you said?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So one of the other, to be honest with you, I thought when you mentioned about the comments, we also received, I don't know if you have it with you, is the comments from the city. And there was a couple of bullets here about the board may wish to consider requiring the returns on the wall sign identified as EO2 to be a color that will blend in with the building facade rather than the proposed white.
The only thing that we have to say about that is,
Yep.
if we put a red ACM background with channel letters and then try to match the color of the building on the channel letters, it's going to look a little funky with the red background behind the white channel letters. Nothing's going to look.
Typically, what we'd be talking about there is a black. So it's not about matching the color of the building, but a way to kind of set the side of the sign a little bit more back, more discreetly. So we'd be looking for a black.
Does that make sense to you?
You're looking for a black, the channel on the channel letters to be black, or the background panel to be
surround. It's the side panel.
The returns to be black on the red ACM with
Correct.
white,
Yep.
with white channel letters, faces.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I know that, from a aesthetic perspective, that could look a little funky with having 3 colors mixed on there. If you're going to put black returns on a red ACM panel and then have a white face,
Through you, Mr. Chairman, that dimension's only 2 inches, I think, Aaron, so it's a slab of red material that's 2 inches thick, I think, so.
Yeah, it's not a big dimension, it's for sure.
think
The
it
channel
makes
letters
sense.
that were existing are black surround on the existing channel letters. It was based on the existing condition. I think the comment was
Oh, okay.
where that was coming from.
I think the 2-inch dimension should be red, only because I think it's in keeping with that background piece rather than changing that. And the channel letters should all be white, I think, just because that's the way letters should read, I think, so. I think the sign's well designed, actually.
That's fine. I think it was just, it's worth discussion.
Okay. Then the second bullet was, this is one of our favorite topics, is the board may wish to confirm whether lighting for each of the proposed signs is conducted via LED technology.
well, the bulbs that we're using for the whole program here are high energy fluorescent bulbs. We're not putting in 1970 fluorescent bulbs in these. The lifespan and the actual return on your investment for the fluorescent T8 long lives that we're using in the program are much greater than any LEDs you can get on the market. And the problem you run into when you use LED bulbs is, after I believe it's 1,000 hours, the lumens drop about 30%, and then you run into issues with having hot spots and cold spots in a sign, where one half of the sign could look like it's lighting and the other half will look like it's dim, and then you come to a money issue, because when you change an LED bulb, you have to change everything, whereas if a fluorescent bulb is to go, you're changing one specific bulb. And from an overall standpoint, the customer is definitely getting their money's worth in return over the lifespan of the bulb and the sign with fluorescent bulbs.
Okay. Do you have anything else you want to add as far as your presentation?
No, for this site, no.
No? Okay. So I'm going to open it up to the public, and then we'll
Okay.
entertain it to the board. Anyone here like to speak in favor of this petition? In favor, hearing none, that portion of public hearing is closed. Anyone like to speak in opposition? Opposition. Hearing none, that portion of public hearing is closed. I'd like to open up to the board. Dennis.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I think the graphics here are very good. I like the change to the gray background. I think that's a softer look for sure, but as long as you're willing to do it, I think it's a nice change. I disagree with your take on LED. And I'm disappointed to hear that we're doing new signs and we're choosing not to use LED, because I think there's a lot of history that the LED, especially the LED in the last 2 or 3 years, is substantially an improvement over fluorescent still. And there's no mercury in the fluorescent, and it has a longer life. And yes, fluorescent also loses some of its efficiency over time.
LED, you mean?
No, I mean fluorescent.
Okay.
I think that it does degrade over time as well. nothing is going to be as perfect as when you first install it, but the LED is a stronger material, and I think we should be looking at LED here as a choice, and that's been something that we've been asking of sign installers in general, because it's a better product and it's more efficient. And I think that it makes a lot of sense, especially for new signage. It's worth looking at, and I strongly suggest that we push for LED here. But your package is commendable, and I really like the graphics.
And I know if we do go with LED, a lot of times the size of the cabinet itself will have to change. I'm not sure what the customer will want, but they do get hotter than fluorescent bulbs. Some of the new technology LEDs get hotter, so you do have to make the cabinet a little bit bigger. Not that it's a big deal. It might have to grow like an inch for the light to shine through, but again, that's something that we'll work with, and we can absolutely do LEDs. That's not a problem. So
It's worth it, and
yeah, no, I understand.
It's definitely a big improvement. In fact, I think we should be doing LED in any light source in the city in general, in my opinion, as a cost-saving measure and efficiency measure. But nice package. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Kevin?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I have no further comments. Dennis hit on the LED that we've talked about many times. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Gary?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, package is well put together. I think you're getting the gist of where the board goes with LED. I think the minimal increase on size is something that both this board and DPD would work with in order to obtain the LED process.
Again, it might not have to change,
Yeah.
but that's something.
No, we've had them in the past where we did have one that there was a 2.5 to 3.5 inch setback on side and front. So just so you're aware of how we feel about LED.
Absolutely.
So. But the packages are commendable. We appreciate the completeness of it. Much more resound moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Corey?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with my colleagues. It's a very well put presentation here, very professional, color graphics and whatnot, but, excuse me. You know, I'm not, I know LED has been an issue as of late, but I believe it's an unfair, unnecessary financial burden to place on a business and make them do LED. I mean, Santander Bank is just about a national chain. I'm sure financially they'd be okay with it, but smaller ma-pa shops, it could be very costly for them, and I don't think we're in any position here to place that kind of protocol on small business and require them to do LED. I'd love to see it, don't get me wrong. I'd much prefer it, but I mean, you know, a fluorescent bulb, if it's disposed of properly, it's not a hazard to the environment, and I assume that's what Santander Bank does. So I like it. I'm fine with it as is without going to LED, but I'm only one vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Corey. Whoop. Thank you, Corey. Dan?
No comments, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Melissa?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening. I was just curious, what hours would the signs be illuminated? Do you happen to know that?
I do not know, but it would only be overnight, nothing
Okay.
during the day.
Okay.
Probably, I'd want to say sun up to, or sundown to sun up.
Okay, thank you. I also wanted to agree that the presentation was really great. I really liked the graphics. Regarding the issue about LED or fluorescence, my biggest concern is I just want to make sure that the city is trying to achieve the most energy efficient, but I do hear the cost of fluorescence versus LED. So if we could do LED, I'd push for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. Yeah, well, I think you've heard the board's comments. The LED and the fluorescence always, just so you know, it's always a subject matter that comes up before this board with signage. So I believe, you know, we'd like, as a condition, we'd like to have the LED technology put in there, the lighting for illumination. The second, and also I'll have that as one condition. The second condition, and Melissa was talking about it, generally what we do there is the existing hours of illumination that currently exist at the site. Generally, the sign company has no idea when their signs are on, unless you do.
I don't know what they're currently on
Right.
for. When we
Right.
install the new ones, I'll know exactly,
Yeah.
what.
So the
we're setting them
condition
for.
we'll have is, whatever currently exists at that site for illumination,
Remains.
that'll be part of the condition, that the same hours of operation for illumination will stay in effect.
Okay.
Okay? All right, any other comments from any other board members? If not, could I have a motion, please?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, the matter before us is EB 2013-27 for a special permit at 802 Rogers Street. I make a motion to approve with the following conditions. LED lighting will be utilized in all signs. Existing hours currently in place for illumination will remain in effect.
Have a second?
Second.
A roll call?
Mr. Belanger?
Approve with
Mr.
conditions.
Mr. Bailey?
Approve with conditions.
Mr. Perrin?
Approve with conditions.
Mr. Ahern?
Approve with conditions.
Mr. McCarthy?
Approve with conditions.
Okay, sir. Was it 794? 794 Roger Street has been approved. So we'll move to the next petition, ZB 2013-28. Petitions a special permit for signs. The applicant is Carolyn A. Parker, NW Sign Industries, property located at 11 Wood Street. Petition to install new signage as part of a rebranding for Sanditar, formerly Sovereign Bank, pursuant to section 6.3 of the zoning ordinance. And so if we could talk about, so we're at 11 Wood Street? Or is it 11 or 1?
1.
Okay, so we have 11 here versus 1. Okay,
Another typo, Mr. Chairman.
yeah. Have a discussion with Aaron about this later. Okay, sir, if you want to continue.
Okay.
We're just reporting what's on the application, just to be clear.
At this particular site, I know you guys, again, have a letter here. There was some issues or concerns with, we have in front of you, I should have presented 2 options for the pylon sign, if I'm not mistaken. Correct?
We have, when you say 2 options, we have like the same package you presented before, so it looks like 1, 2, 3, and then, okay, so you have on EO2, for example, to be removed.
Yes, for EO1, we have presented 2 different options. I don't know if they've printed out both for you. There was some concern initially with the option 1 that is a PY16. Is that what you have in front of you?
Yep.
With there being a setback issue with the sign sticking over the sidewalk. And currently, what's being proposed is a 9'8" sign, and we're going to reuse the existing footings and poles. I was actually just over at the location before I was here, and I can tell you from the center of the pole to the sidewalk is 64.5 inches. So what we're proposing and the issues that have arisen were brought up is no problem. There will be no issues with the setback, and we will not have to, I believe, get a special permit because we're intruding on the sidewalk or the right-of-way.
Aaron, any comments based on this
I'm
gentleman?
only aware of having 1 sign that's submitted for this pylon. We did raise the concern, if there's any signage that hangs over into the public right-of-way, there needs to be an approval from the city council and then an insurance binder for the sign that's over it in the right-of-way. But I don't have any other documentation for an alternative or certification that, with a plot plan, that the PYH16 will not, other than what's just been presented.
Okay, so you're stating that the submission this gentleman has, it's not going to overhang? We're saying it's,
I'm saying we don't have any documentation that shows that it won't overhang.
won't, okay.
May or may not, but there's no plan that certifies that.
Okay, do you understand?
No, I completely understand, and actually that's why I went over to the site prior to coming to this meeting and measured it for myself.
Yep.
And I did measure it, and there will be no problem with the overhang. Is there something that I need to submit to have proof of that?
Okay, so what you were stating was the 64 inches was is where the pylon sign will be located, and it will not overhang. Is that?
Yes, I'm saying from the pole that we're using, the beam that we're using, from the dead center of the sign, it'll be 64 inches to the right.
Okay.
Is where the curb starts.
So Aaron, so how do we work something like that if the gentleman says, 64 inches is going to be in? I mean, they go and throw the sign up. Does the city drive by and say, no, it's overhanging? And
We could
move
inspect it as a condition of approval, and if it is hangover, require that
Yeah.
city council
Well,
approval
I would suggest that's what we do. Okay.
Yeah, and we also, this isn't our first time dealing with issues like this. If we do get to the site and there is an issue, which there won't be because I measured it, we would just set the sign offset on the pole, and you would never know that, you can't see the pole underneath the cladding. So the sign could sit to the left and the pole be here on the cladding, and it would not overhang by 30 inches if we wanted it to.
Okay. Well, as long as you're comfortable with, we're going to condition it based on
Absolutely.
citing. Okay, if you want to continue, sir.
Yep, no
Yep.
problem. And then sign EO3 is
Yep.
a reface of the multi-tenant pylon. Exact for exact. Sign EO4 is a new fascia sign that will replace the existing. Sign EO5 is the new drive-up ATM. Again, at this location, a new ATM will be put in the location and centered in between the ATMs around to fit the actual building a little bit better.
Yep. Okay. And then,
From there, I believe you jump to E12, is it?
Yep.
We are proposing to put a secondary fascia sign on the other side of the building that will measure to be 2 foot by 10 foot.
okay, so on E12, are we proposing a larger sign?
Then what's
Based on the before and after, it looks to be larger.
no, it's actually new. There's no sign currently there.
Okay, so that's where I thought you said there was nothing there, but what's this supposed to be? Oh, okay. Look up the wrong thing. That's why I'm the chairman.
Not a problem.
That's why I'm chairman. I'm never wrong. Yeah, okay. I'm sorry, go ahead.
And I believe that's the end of the illuminated signs that you should have.
Yeah. So EO5 was okay, that was the issue. I went from the EO5, which was after, gotcha, all right. Okay, anything else? Oh, so hold on. So we also, I want to go through the bullets that the city had here, and I think you hit on some of these, but the first one was EO2, I think we already discussed, right? That was no, that was EO1. So EO2, we don't even,
EO2.
did you go through EO2? I know you did EO1. Did you touch on EO2?
EO2 is being removed.
Okay. So on here, wish to consider requiring returns of wall sign. So Aaron, the first comment from the city identified as EO2 about requiring returns.
Again, this is the comment relative to wall signs where you have the side part of the
Right.
sign, the encasement, it's called return. In the plans, it's shown as red. We've recommended something that might make it a little more subtle, which is a black color, which is what the existing
Yep.
wall signs are, something we typically like to see, again, to kind of
Right.
set them back a little bit.
Well, I'm just stating, it says, number one talks about wall sign identified as EO2, with this gentleman saying there is no EO2. If there's something else that number one refers to that the city made a comment, I want to make sure we're referring to the right thing, that's all. I think,
I'm pretty certain those comments are relative to the E12 are the wall signs. The EO2 is the one that's being removed, correct?
Yep.
Correct, yeah. EO2 is being removed. It's a
Yeah.
second pylon, and we're
Comment
proposing to
that
put a
the
new sign.
the returns are referring to are going to be wall signs.
Yep.
So that was probably just a typo, intended to be E12.
Okay. EO12? E12? Yep. Okay, so E12. So we already talked about the returns before. You're gonna change them to, no, we're gonna keep
No, we're
them the
gonna keep
same
them
as
red, I
proposed,
believe.
right?
Yes.
The red, okay.
I just do want to point out that those aren't 2-inch dimensions, those are 5 to 8-inch dimensions.
It does, sorry, Mr. Chairman, it does seem
go
to be inconsistent with the width here shown on E12. So can you clarify that? You've got a plan view, which shows an 8-inch dimension. What is that 8-inch dimension referring to, and is that accurate?
On E12,
Yeah.
that is an actual cabinet.
Okay, so you have channel letters on top of that, right?
No, there's a flat face.
Okay, so then you have a type section, typical section, right? And you have a width dimension there shown.
On the same page?
Oh, okay, so that's the 8-inch dimension again?
Yes.
Okay. Is that, what currently is there right now is only 8 inches?
On the cabinet sign?
Yep.
I believe the cabinet sign depths that are currently there are bigger than that.
I think they are too. Okay. All right, that's clear. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, and then our favorite subject, the LED technology. That's the second point here. I know
Again,
you,
I think you guys made it clear how you
I
feel.
think you heard us first time, right? Okay.
I do believe that, that there is documentation that Santander as a company does have as to why they chose to go with fluorescent bulbs and the money that they would save and how efficient it is over LEDs. I don't know if that would, obviously I'm not asking to change it, if that would change anyone's mind, if I could present that documentation to you. I don't currently have it on me, but I know that is the main reason that a company so large has chose to go with fluorescent bulbs.
Well, I know we've talked about this on just about every petition.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think, and Dennis will correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we've ever seen any cost savings analysis submitted by anyone, have we?
In fact, I think we could do the opposite and show you the cost-benefit analysis that you would receive by going to LED. And I think there's a lot of information out there that would show you that as a company that LED is a better choice from a longevity standpoint as well as a savings of electricity. So
Well, was that with regular fluorescent bulbs or long life fluorescent bulbs?
with the T5s or the T8s in comparison to the
Long lights?
LED. Yep, right.
Okay. And then the third, okay, I think we're all set on the LED, right? Yep. Then the third one we've already covered, and that had to do with the sign potentially overhanging the sidewalk. We've already addressed that, so.
Correct.
Okay. Anything else you want to add at this point?
No, I just wanted to make it clear as to why we are proposing a sign on the front of the building there that's not currently there. That is because we are removing sign EO2, which is currently a freestanding
Sure.
sign in the parking lot.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
just so you're clear.
Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, going to open it up to the public. Anyone here that'd like to speak in favor of this petition? In favor? Hearing none. That portion of public hearing is closed. Anyone here that's in opposition? Opposition. Hearing none. That portion of public hearing is closed. Open it up to the board. Dennis?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to talk about the new sign that you're adding and the location of it. We don't really have an elevation showing how it sits on that side of the building. We have a image that kind of shows it in there. How does it relate, or what's your intention with how it relates to the windows? Are you setting it sort of in the middle, or?
It's definitely going to be architecturally centered in the building. I know it's hard to show from the angle of the photo that is put on there, but it is going to sit in the center of the windows.
So you're going to center it on the windows then?
Yes, it should fit in between, like centered on the between the 5 windows that are there.
Okay. And would it match something similar with the adjustment vertically with the one that you have in the front?
Correct.
Although the one in the front is 4 feet, the side one is only,
2 feet. That's because the building is actually higher in
Sound-
size.
Yep, okay. Sounds good. I personally like the idea of the red rolling over the edge and the slab of material being consistent, only 8 inches. I understand that the black shadow line does have some benefit, but I think that the red tone and the simplicity of it would be a benefit, so I think I like the way this was proposed.
And on this
myself.
specific building, you have one elevation that's black and one that's white, so it's kind of, like you said, keeps it more consistent.
Yeah, right. Boy, a lot of signs. You really have a lot of signs. I hope it serves you well, but impressive package that you presented again, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Dennis. Kevin?
I have no further comments, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Gary?
Through Mr. Chairman, just a point of clarification to my colleague, Mr. McCarthy. Are you making a condition on the proposed centering of that E12 fascia sign?
I think that we should be clear as to where we want that sign located on that elevation, because it's not presented in a manner that's identifying it.
Yeah, that's not a big deal. I mean,
So
it's going to be centered, so they can make, with the conditions.
Just make a condition that it'll be
Absolutely.
architecturally centered amongst the windows. Okay. No further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Corey?
No comment, Mr. Chairman. Everything's been covered. Thank you.
Thank you. Van?
I just have one quick question through you to the petitioner. On page 26, the before and after photo, on the after photo, the Santa Ana sign is on the side of the building where the drive-through is, but the before it's just blank. I wasn't sure if that's like an error there, or do you know what I'm talking about? Maybe you already explained it in the summary.
I'm sorry, on page 26?
Yes, on the before and after picture.
Yeah, there's currently no sign on that elevation.
Okay.
Like I clarified earlier, there's actually 3 pylon signs at this location. We're gonna remove one and propose to add a sign on the actual building itself.
Okay. Done. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Melissa?
I have no questions or comments, thanks.
Thank you. Okay. So I believe we've identified, approving of this. We have some conditions. I just want to, Gary, if we can just run through them, make sure we have them captured before we take the actual vote, please.
We have a condition that the installed E1 sign will not overhang into a public way. And if upon completion, the petitioner finds it has, they will offset the sign on the pylon. LED lighting will be utilized. The existing hours of illumination currently in place will remain in effect, and sign E12 will be architecturally centered above the row of windows.
Okay. Any questions about any of those?
Nope.
Okay. All right. So if I could have a motion, please.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, in the matter before us at ZB 2013-28 for a special permit at 1 Wood Street, I make a motion to approve with the following condition. The installed sign, E1, will not overhang onto a public way, and upon completion, if it does, the petitioner will offset the sign on the current pylon. LED lighting will be utilized within the sign. Sign E12 will be architecturally centered above the row of windows, and existing hours of illumination currently in place will remain in effect.
Have a second?
Second?
Roll call?
Mr. Belanger,
Approve with conditions.
Mr. Bailey,
Approve with conditions.
Mr. Perrin,
Approve with condition.
Mr. Ahern,
Approve with conditions.
Mr. McCarthy.
Approve with conditions.
Okay, sir. Been approved with conditions.
Thank you.
Wish you best of luck.
Yep, thank you.
You're welcome.
Did you sign in over there?
I did not, but I will.
Thank you.
And then
Okay, our next matter before us is ZB 2013-29. The petition is a special permit. The applicant is Specialty Materials. Property is located at 1485 Middlesex Street. Petition to allow light manufacturing in a currently vacant warehouse pursuant to Article 12. Table of uses of the zoning ordinance. Is a representative of Specialty Materials here. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. My name is Steve Pilioglis, plant manager at Specialty Materials. What we're proposing is, or asking is that we get a permit to do light manufacturing, excuse me, in 1485 Middlesex Street, which formerly was a Speedy Lube. Right now, everything is zoned retail, and we are working with another company in Chelmsford. We're starting to develop the process, excuse me, they develop the process. We're going to be, we're looking to do the manufacturing because they're not really a manufacturing company. So it's basically what it is making aluminum billets with fiber infiltrated in it, and then they would be machined, and they're used for bearing holders for aircraft. And for our part, it's good because we used to have Evergreen Solar as one of our biggest customers, and they went away, and we've had several reductions in force, and this could potentially be something that would replace it and maybe be as big as that.
So the site has in the past been a manufacturing site at some point with production facilities?
Not in 1485. There was strictly a warehouse when we had Evergreen as a customer. We built a lot of fiber for them, and we were storing it in Chelmsford, we were storing it in Peabody. And when the opportunity came for us to be able to acquire that building and the one next to it, we did so that we could store our material on site. And then when Evergreen and their partner in Germany, Cervelo, went out of business, we had nothing to put in there. So This is what we're hoping to do, is to replace that business with this here. And one of the things that to me is really important about this process is that we're not going to be going door to door to sell this. We have people coming to us that want this. So we're looking to start off with just one piece of equipment. In the package, I know that there's a layout, and that's like the full up, having two units in there, but we're looking to buy just one right now, have it, start with that, and then as things pick up, put another one in, and then maybe move back into 1449 if we needed additional capacity.
Okay. Aaron, I didn't see any comments or any documentation from any other city departments. Did, for instance, fire department take a look at the site where they're going into?
No, there wasn't really any concerns relative to this project. It's an existing building. It's a process that's moving in. It's a new use, which is what is requiring the need for a special permit. But there's already trucks entering and exiting the site from the businesses that Specialty Materials already conducting there, so there wasn't a lot of concern from other city staff or departments.
Right. So, I mean, the process that's taking place, there's no hazardous waste, there's no chemicals, there's...
No, it starts off with an aluminum oxide fiber. We mix it with water, make a preform, and that's really it.
So traffic flow that currently exists there, I think that was in the write-up. I know I took a ride to the site.
Right.
You're going to stay with the existing traffic flow?
Yes, there should be no additional flow with this process. If they may be bringing raw material, it would go to the loading dock,
Sure.
like everything else, and then it would be brought over with a fork truck.
Yep, okay. As far as deliveries, are there any large vehicles making deliveries with the material that's coming in, or?
No.
Okay.
No, well, I mean, we already have large trucks now.
Yep.
And the traffic flow is just to the left of that building and around, so it shouldn't impact anything. In fact, since we acquired this building, it's been a lot better because now we have a one-way pattern through the facility.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add?
No.
Okay. Gonna open it up to the public. Anyone here that'd like to speak in favor of this petition? In favor? Favor? Hearing none. That portion of public hearing is closed. Anyone here that'd like to speak in opposition? 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 Hearing none. That portion of public hearing is closed. I'd like to open up to the board. Melissa?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I like the idea of adding jobs, so that's a great thing. I did read that there was not going to be additional hazardous material added, but I actually took a drive to the site and went around, and I did notice like a little storage unit.
There's
Could you explain
a
that?
hazardous waste shed. We do have hazardous waste in the main building.
Okay.
But none of that would be coming from, this is a very clean process.
Okay, thank you for explaining that. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Van?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to the applicant, I just want to say this is a very good proposal, and this business type is something that is a good addition to the city, especially reading through the package. You have about 100 employees, and about half are all residents. So
Yeah, we used to have about 80, 80 recently, but now we're down to about 48.
no, I wish you well. So
Thank you.
that's all I had to say. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Corey?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I toured the facility today. Mr. Palinglos was kind enough to give me his time and give me a tour of the building. It's currently empty, and I know personally I don't like empty buildings. That does nobody any favors, the city or the local economy for that matter. But everything looked good. Nothing's going to be affected really in the neighborhood. So, but please brief me on this very interesting new what I would say like an innovative, cost-effective type of metal. Is that what this is? What are we talking about here?
What they use right now. This was originally developed for a helicopter, and what they have is the bearing goes into a bearing holder, and I guess it's pretty much a sacrificial part, and when that wears out, they get rid of it and they just put a new one in. The bearing goes right in there. The bearing holders now are made out of steel, and in aircraft, weight savings are gold. It's if you save 20 pounds in an aircraft, it's in the lifetime of fuel and everything. It's really a good thing. So the aluminum is lighter, obviously, but also with this fiber reinforcements, it wears better. So because of that. That's why they were looking into doing this, but also other people have come forward and they're looking at maybe making whole motors out of this material. Be very lightweight, all one part. They're looking at it for pistons for NASCARs, racing engines, that kind of thing. So it looks like there's people coming to us that want this part. So if we can make it, they will come.
All right, that sounds great. That sounds great. I hope it gets to that level. I really do, and I hope it creates a lot of jobs here in the city. I support it, and I wish you the best of luck. Thank you very much.
Okay, Gary?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I want to thank the petitioner for the complete package and all the information. It was very interesting research, and I was very happy knowing that you had lost a piece of business, and then to regain business and to grow is, from a business standpoint, is always something you're looking to do. Reinvent yourself. I want to congratulate you there. I think it's the right location for it, and I wish you all the success.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kevin?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I just want to echo, thank you for the complete package. I think it makes all the sense in the world to have everything on site on one campus, so I wish you the best, and it sounds like an interesting project.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dennis?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I love the idea of manufacturing in Lowell expanding, period. And so this is a great opportunity. And I understand that you've already got a manufacturing there, so an extension of what you're doing on site makes a lot of sense. I don't understand your site plan. If you could just kind of walk me through, you've got how many buildings here that are yours? You've got 1449 and 1485 identified in the write-up.
All right, yes.
But there's two other buildings identified on the site
They
plan.
they all belong to us, but they're under different names.
Okay.
When 1485 was acquired, it was decided to have it be a different entity in case we ever had to divest of that property. They thought it would be easier. And then same thing with 1499, when we acquired that, the entity that owns 1485 bought that. That's kind of how they did it.
The reason I'm asking, is 1499 not in a retail zone? And are you using that for?
Warehousing. That was all to support Evergreen Savello when we purchased those.
Okay, so is that already been decided that we're okay with warehousing in a retail zone there? Is that what we're doing?
Regional retail, I think warehouse is a special permit, but if it was an existing use, it would have already been permitted, or it was an existing non-conforming use, one or the other.
I think it's
Many
important.
of these, I'm sorry.
I think it's important just to identify that because this retail / manufacturing is kind of adjacent to it and on the street side. And we've already got an established use that's not retail adjacent to it, so.
Correct, yeah, this whole complex here is kind of a long-standing manifestation of other industrial uses that was actually more prominent in this area. The Middlesex Street, as Middlesex kind of turns off towards Marginal by the DPW building, there was more industrial in this area.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a lingering use. But in the regional retail district, which is zoned for Middlesex Street, light industrial as well as warehouse is allowed with a special permit. So you can look at it on a case-by-case basis.
And I just wanted to talk about a couple things about what your improvements are to the building itself. You talk about the fact that there's 6 glass overhead doors and 4 of them may be changing. What would you be changing them?
Wall them in, because we don't need that much access. I mean, it was a speedy loop, so there was doors on each end. My thought is that, well, what they were talking about doing was using those roll-up doors, because they need the height where the door goes up on the tracks. They need the height, so they have to get rid of the tracks. So they were going to use roll-up doors. My thought was, if I don't need 4 of the doors, it's just a lot of energy is going to go through there.
Absolutely.
So why don't,
Yep.
why don't we just wall them up, insulate it, and
What would it look like from the street side when you do that? Is it just going to be a bland metal panel, or is it going to be something that you want to look
never
at
thought
from the
that far,
street
because we
side?
were just talking about it. Originally, it was just going to be a door, but we would, try to make it look so that it fits in with everything else.
I think it'd be important for you to work through DPW, maybe to come up with a solution that works for a streetscape, because that does have presence on Middlesex Street. And I
Sure.
think that whatever we do there should kind of be compatible with what we're trying to establish as a retail kind of corridor there.
Okay, I guess if we were going to go that route, we would be getting a building permit. Is that when that would come up, or?
Yeah, to answer the question, I suppose, if there's going to be any changes to the building, any construction to the building, there would need to be a building permit applied or submitted to the Division of Development Services. At that point, we could certainly work with the applicant to come up with a solution that might present a nicer retail front to the district.
I think we just want to be careful that we don't end up with a metal shed right there on
No.
Middlesex Street that looks like it just kind of landed.
No,
So
I mean, actually, the way it looks right now, it's a door, but we never use it.
Yep,
It does
yep.
look kind of nice. We've like frosted the windows
Yep.
so that you can't look in, but,
yeah.
you know,
I agree, and I think that you're right with the efficiency with the energy, getting rid of the leaky doors makes a lot of sense.
Right.
My last question, just one more. The 400 amp, 480 volt service,
okay, yeah.
is that being done with a transformer, and how is that going to be fed to the building? Is it currently?
Transformer's on the pole.
Yep. it's on the
And
pole.
so it would just come down, there's already power there.
Yep.
But we would have to come in underground, I believe. So it's gonna come into where the existing service is,
Great,
but it would be underground.
okay. Okay, no further questions. I'm glad you're expanding here. Nice project. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I guess the only thing I'll follow up on is, I had the same comment that Dennis had. So Aaron, just for point of clarification, I guess for me, we talked about a permitting process as far as the change the gentleman was talking about. But do we need some type of condition around, I'll call it, we want it to look, I guess, aesthetically pleasing with the streetscape that Dennis is getting at. So do we need to condition something? And if we do, is it, if you want to just, I wrote something here, but I just figured I'd re-review this again with you.
Yeah, I would recommend a condition be placed with an approval so that we can make sure that it's enforceable. If there's no condition with the decision, most applicants, and I'm sure Stephen would be willing to work with us anyway, but there's no way to compel them to work with DPD to revise or develop an architectural plan that respects the retail district, the character of the retail district. So short answer is yes, I would recommend a condition.
Yeah, one thing, if you look at the back building, 1449, when the gentleman that owns us now, when he bought it, when it was still Textron, he bought it from Textron, there was basically fiberboard on the windows. When he bought that, he goes, you got to get rid of that. And he spent about $50,000, and we had these metal frames made, and if you look at it, they look like windows, but they're not. The way it looks, it looks like it should, and I think that we would, I feel that we would continue doing the same thing with, the new building, but it would be good if there's something that makes it happen, if it's a condition or whatever.
Yeah, no, I think the site is very presentable. We just want to, and I had the same question I was going to ask, but Dennis being Dennis, he jumped in on the chairman, so. No, I had the same question, the way it was written up. I wasn't sure what you were going to do with the 4 other doors. It wasn't really, then when I heard the permit being pulled and those types of things, I have to agree with Dennis. I just want to make sure it's aesthetically pleasing looking at the end, so just give me 1 minute. Okay, could I have a motion, please?
Through you, the matter before us is ZBA 2013-9 for a special permit at 1485 Middlesex Street. I make a motion to approve with the following condition. The petitioner will work with DPD as it relates to removal of the 4 overhead doors and the construction of walled-out doors be aesthetically acceptable within the current neighborhood surroundings.
Have a second?
Second?
A roll call?
Mr. Belanger,
Approve with conditions.
Mr. Bailey,
Approve with conditions.
Mr. Perrin,
Approve with conditions.
Mr. Ahern,
Approve with conditions.
Mr. McCarthy.
Approve with condition.
Okay, sir, been approved with conditions. Wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Pardon me, Chairman, I didn't catch who seconded the motion. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, talk to you, no problem.
Okay, our next matter before us is ZB 2013-30. The petition is a variance. The applicant is Jeffrey Lesniak. The property is located at 20 Wollaston Street. Petition to instruct an addition to an existing dwelling without meeting dimensional requirements pursuant to section 5.1 of the zoning ordinance. Yes, sir. How are you?
Good evening, how are you?
Very good.
I don't know where you want me to start here, except for to say,
You might want to introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jeffrey Lesniak.
Hi, how are you?
I put a packet together for all of you. I just want to say, I actually had a, while I was going through this process and thinking this through with an architect, I spent, my wife and I, a luncheon with all my adjacent neighbors and any other butters that, wanted to, but all my neighbors that came, and, they went over all the plans that I had for this project, and, they had no problem on anything that we were proposing, and they felt, that, that list of signatures that you see is direct abutters of my property, so it's everyone that would be, affected, right along my property, either in the back, sides, or across the street from my property. And, I don't know if you guys have any questions you would like me to address,
Well, if you can just, I know we have the plans, and
Yep.
I know you had to write up the reason why you were doing
Yep.
this, and, but if you can, I know there was also comments that came back from the city too, but
Yep.
if you can just, if you could, just briefly, or even if it takes you longer than briefly, just explain how you put your plans together and,
It started with my wife and I. My father lives on Burnham Road, which happens to be the next street over. He's lived there for 45 years. I grew up in that house, and ironically bought a house the next street over. And my wife and I loved the neighborhood, and we started to notice my father's medical conditions were deteriorating, as we all would someday. And we spoke to him about different things, and I've been to counseling him about, the part of going to a nursing home or anything that he might need, not necessarily right now, but in a later stage to care for him. My wife being a nurse is very helpful as well. And we just, we finally came to the conclusion that we love the area, we love the neighborhood, and, I have two siblings, a brother and sister, that just don't really have the financial stake right now, if you will, as my wife and I were very fortunate enough to be able to do this, if we could, for my father. And so she brought we actually did entertain looking at other properties that might accommodate this. And what we've seen out there, we made the decision to maybe try doing this project that I proposed in front of you as something, being that I've been born and raised in Lowell my whole life, I love the area. And we figured maybe, continue staying in the area. We love the area, we didn't want to move. So this is how we came up with the proposal that you have before you.
okay. So the intention of the change is to,
Yeah, we're just going to add living area on, which is just going to basically be like a living area and, a bedroom and bathroom and stuff to accommodate him. I have a 4-bedroom house, which I have 3 children, so we already at capacity with bedrooms and that with the children and whatnot. And it's pretty much to help him out. Again, I've been through, I don't know if you read the hardship letter, but I've been to, which I have to admit was very difficult, a lot of counseling that he's been through, and he's very adamant about wanting to remain with family. Can't stay in the existing house that he's in right now. It's way too big for him. He's 74. He can't upkeep the property. It's beyond upkeep for him. And he's just very adamant about, he does not want to go into any type of assisted living. He feels he don't need it. He still drives. He's still, I think a great part for him would be just, my children. He enjoys coming up and just maybe spending time watching them ride their bikes in front of the house. So I just think it'd be a great thing for him.
okay. Did you receive the letter from the city?
Yes, I did, sir.
About their summary?
Yep.
And did you get a chance to look through the comments section?
Yes, I did, sir.
Okay. So if we can just, and I do this with all the petitioners anyways, if there's any comments, if we can just run through the 3 bullets and get an idea from you. So when it talked about the first one is about the calculating the gross floor area. Did you get a chance to?
Yeah, I spoke with Joe, actually, this, Janowitz, is it?
Sure, yep.
I spoke with him this morning, and I actually counseled a couple other people, one being a past chairman of the board here. I asked him about a few things on this matter and stuff, and I think there's a confusion on the living area because I have an unfinished basement and an unfinished attic.
Okay.
And I don't think, for some reason, when I did this project originally on my house about 8 years ago, I asked him if it exceeded, at the permitting process, why didn't they require me to get go through this process at that point? And he said, gee, that's a good question. So on that, I don't believe that I am. I think it's just a misinterpretation of the calculation.
Okay.
And again, like I said, if you look up in the building department, I was approved and signed off permits, all that and whatnot about 8 years ago now. So I don't know why that would have been not raised at that point, when I was going through that process.
Okay, so I'm going to turn to Aaron and
Sure.
get Aaron's feedback.
Depending on the time when that original application was submitted for the last edition, it could have occurred before the latest zoning amendment that rehauled the zoning code, which could have changed the requirements. I don't know what the zoning requirements for FAR was prior to 2004, which was when the zoning amendment was implemented. My understanding, though, generally was that there were some additional regulations applied to the suburban single-family and other residential districts to prevent mansionization on properties or prevent buildings from being built from a perceived perspective to be too large. So at that time, it may have been by right. The only other thing I could say is that if it wasn't caught at the time, it doesn't mean it nullifies the zoning code requirement. FAR is one of those dimensional requirements that from time to time does get missed in a zoning review, but if it wasn't caught the first time, it doesn't nullify that it needs to be applied.
So when the gentleman talks about the unfinished sections of the home,
that's counted as part of gross floor area. It's the basement, any basement area, any attic area that's above 5 feet in height is part of the gross floor area.
Is. Okay. So.
See, I was told from a past chairman of this board that explained to me that a basement and unfinished area was not considered a livable area.
Okay.
It's an unfinished area, so that's how I came up with my determination to be.
And he's probably right. An unfinished basement isn't a livable area, but gross floor area as a calculation per the zoning code is different than what's calculated as a livable area.
Okay. Then the second one we looked, that was pointed out, talking about the consideration whether proposed construction complements not only the existing structure on site, but also the context of the neighborhood as part of this review. So it talks about the roof line and foundation exposure. I know we've gone through foundation exposure before. Any comments on the second item?
Yeah, the roof line was just a change in roof line to kind of give the house aesthetics and character. The architect as well as builders that I know would be helping with the process kind of recommended it would look more fitting to the neighborhood than to just continue the roof line the existing way. So that was just something to maybe give it an appeal of where it would it would fit in, and it would just make the aesthetics of the house look nice, and the architect of the house.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, I think the
foundation exposure.
The existing foundation exposure is 25 inches. I spoke with my architect, and he said he wasn't really sure it was 30, but if that's what it was because of elevation issues and why that was there. But the proposed of what I was going to propose to the building department, I have a fieldstone foundation that's existing, and the proposed foundation that's going to be put in, I'm going to put like a cultured stone that would kind of give it the same reveal as the fieldstone, so it would look like it fit with the regular pot. The existing foundation from the street as well right now, you wouldn't even see. I have a bunch of bushes and, my wife and I are very, I guess, into the yard, manicured bushes and plants and whatever, so you really can't see it anyways, but I just, myself personally, would like to keep that look, so the reveal of the foundation that is exposed from the ground would look the same as the foundation of the existing house, with like a type of couch and stone type thing.
Okay. Then the last point, this had to do with the bump out regarding its necessity, and eliminating it would bring the property in compliance with the setback requirement. Do you have any comments on that
Yeah,
one?
really, it wouldn't bring it into compliance. It actually, it'd be out more because I would need a way to get in and out of the basement. And a bulkhead is currently about 6 feet 3 inches, the standard bulkhead, off the property, which would mean I'd be 2 more feet 3 inches infringing on the setback. You follow what I'm saying? So we proposed, with my architect, and we proposed just a 4-foot, so we're not even going out as far, but it would just be like an opening door that would go down into the basement. So it'd be an enclosed thing, and also give the character, I'm trying to, I guess if you will, make it so my house isn't gonna look like a box. I don't want it to look like a box. I want it to have some type of architectural quality to it, for all aspects of the neighbors. So that's how we came up with doing something like that, instead of putting a bulkhead that I wouldn't put in the side of my property or in the front, obviously, so it would have to go in the back, and it would be 6 feet 3 inches off the back of the property if I was to just end the house where the existing house was. And so that's how we came up with that idea, just a little something different to change the architecture and the back appeal.
Okay. Aaron, are you familiar enough with the comments that DPD made on the project?
Yeah, I can answer questions.
Yeah, so the gentleman mentioned that, the bump out wasn't there. He talked about the compliance part of it. Do you have any comments on that, based on this gentleman's understanding of what would happen?
Well, I suspect that there's other locations you could put a bulkhead or access to a basement. I haven't reviewed any plans for the building, so I can't offer other recommendations. The only other thing I would say about a bulkhead over a 4-foot bump out that goes up 2.5 stories is that a bulkhead usually is only 2.5, 3 feet off the ground and not visible from your neighbor's property. So it's less visible than the bump out. So if the intent is to meet the intent of zoning as far as setbacks, I think the bulkhead, although if it had to go in that location, is closer or infringes more in the rear yard setback, what's proposed is actually going to be more visible and actually will infringe on the neighbor's rear yard more than a bulkhead would.
More visible from a sightline perspective? Is that...
Because it's 2.5 stories tall, whereas a bulkhead's about 2 feet tall.
It's only gonna be 2, just for the record. I'm not gonna have an attic or whatever in that area. There'll be nothing. It's gonna be more of a cathedral ceiling in that area, so it's, if the plan has 2.5, I think it's actually only gonna be 2. Because there'll be no entry into that area, a pull down or anything, so it'll actually only be a 2-story.
And I think just more generally, I think that the comment is addressing the fact that this could be a fairly simple variance that could be removed from the request, that there should be other ways to address access to the basement. If you can meet the zoning requirements in that way, that would be a better pathway than just seeking a variance, especially with new construction like this.
And again, Mr. Chairman, if I may, when I bring this petition before you, I know these are the processes you have to go through, but I don't see why there would be a problem with if, I've directly discussed this with direct abutters, and they seem to have no problem with this, so I don't see why, don't take it the wrong way. Anyone that can't see it would have a problem with it. If somebody that's going to be looking at this every day has no problem with it.
Mr. Lesniak, do you have letters from your abutters, signatures, anything tonight?
Yes, I do.
Can you submit that to the board, please?
I stated that earlier. Again, my wife and I had a luncheon, and, We had my architect there for any questions that they might have had, and it's a letter I had Ronald and Joyce Cody, Thomas and Karen Follett, Richard Cody, Todd and Christy Fenlon, Daniel and Jacqueline Heslin, Kevin and Maxine Foote, Daniel and Denise O'Connor are all my direct abutters.
Okay, can you bring that, can you visit that one?
Yes.
Can you bring it forward to the board, please, so we can look at it?
I think that, you got one? Okay, thank you, sir. Again, my wife and I, just like you understand my intent fully already, we want to address any concerns that a direct neighbor would definitely have for my property. I mean, they originally, when they came, they had no concerns, and, again, I told them if they had any concern that I would like to be aware of it, because, I've been neighbors with these people for a while now. I've been there since 2000. And we pretty much, as you read in that letter, maintain a pretty good relationship with neighbors. I know it's tough in some areas to get along with neighbors, and I have to say I'm very fortunate to get along with all my neighbors.
Which one's the direct abutter in the rear view, the most impacted?
The two in the rear are Thomas and Karen Follett of Featherston, and then Richard Cody of Featherston. Those two would be the
Okay.
direct ones that would be,
Okay, in the rear.
parents would be
Yes.
directly to them. And neither of them, I explained that to them, what we were looking to do, and neither of them had a concern with it. Their only concern was that, as long as everything was gonna be done to what I'm proposing for plans and what's submitted to you, that they had no problem, that I wasn't adding anything else afterward onto that.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add, sir, at this point?
No, that's it. Thank you, sir.
Okay. All right, going to open it up to the public. Anyone here like to speak in favor of this petition? In favor? Favor? Hearing none. That portion of public hearing is closed. Anyone here like to speak in opposition? 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 Hearing none. That portion of public hearing is closed. Going to open up to the board. Van?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, I just want to say that I'm very sorry to hear about your father, and I want to say that I'm in full support of this petition. You're not degrading the neighborhood. It's, the characteristics still be there. And all your neighbors and abutters support this petition. So, I wish you well, and I wish you the very best with everything.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Corey?
To you, Mr. Chairman. For starters, Mr. Lesniak, this is probably not something you do every day, I understand, but I commend you for rallying your neighbors. Not too often do you see that, because that's very important. If there was, behind you was full of opposition, you'd be, in trouble here tonight. So I commend you for doing that. Okay, now in the rear, how far are you from the lot line now?
I believe I'll be approximately 21 feet, 3 inches. Hold on one second, please.
And Aaron, what's the rear yard setback? What's required?
Oh, you know what? I think
It's 25.
25, okay, all right.
So I'll be the other way, I apologize. I think I'll be 19 feet.
Yeah, I don't think it's quite that much.
That's on the other one for this. Yes, I'll be 21 feet, 1 inch still.
Okay. Okay, so tell me a little about the addition now. Is it gonna be like a living room and a bedroom? What's gonna be,
Yeah, it's gonna be a,
what's gonna consist of?
A living room, just a...
Family room?
A family sitting area for 'em, everything with it's a bedroom and a bathroom for 'em, so.
Okay,
And it'll still be, it's all part of my house, there's no, I'm not segregating anything, it's all gonna be open floor plan where, we'll be able to go through and it's not like it's gonna be, any enclosure or anything like that, My house as it is now is kind of, my wife and I have taken we love the open format, so we have pretty much everything open. So it's just gonna be, my living area now where myself and wife and kids, use for like a TV area would just have like a 6-foot opening, you know, with, you know, a nice open or whatever, which would flow into that area where he would kind of be sitting. But we're
Okay.
just trying to give him somewhat of a normal area where he would be able to sit and watch his own TV and that type of thing.
Okay, now, what's your gross living area, square footage now, and what are we adding here?
I'm at 2,900 square feet, and I believe there'll be 1,400 adding. And originally, I wanted to just do a 1 floor, and when I spoke with architects and just different people that do building, they told me aesthetically, looking at my house, the appearance and everything, it wouldn't look right in that area, the structure that I currently have. So I was kind of turned on to, you know, they told me to put the, you know, the 2nd floor on it to keep it character and aesthetically look the same as the, you know, the existing house. So I think it'd be about 1,400 something to add on to it.
Now, Aaron, the comments from the city, what's the gross living area, what's the maximum in this case, I guess? What was the issue before? Because if his basement and attic were finished, he probably wouldn't be needing to do this, so I tend to believe that, you know, his attic and basement are not done. So what's the maximum, I guess, so to speak?
Maximum gross floor area is 4,200 square feet. It's based on the size of the lot. It's
Yeah,
basically
right.
3,500 of the the total area of the lot. It's a 12,000 square foot lot, so it needs to be 4,200. It doesn't matter whether or not the basement's finished or not. That's included as part of the gross floor area calculation.
Oh, I see, okay. All right, well, you're right there. You know, I went there, did a site visit today. Your home is in meticulous shape. It looks great. You got a growing family. You want to stay in Lowell, and I think I'd like to keep you in Lowell. So I do support it, and it's a little closer than I'd like, but your neighbors are on board because you did your due diligence and rallied everybody together. So I do support it, and I wish you the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Belanger.
Thank you, Corey. Gary?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I want to echo the comments of my colleague. You put together a package that's, in my opinion, comprehensive. It outlines what we're looking for. The explanation of the bump out, to me, in consideration with what your neighbors have agreed to. It's not too often that you have a petitioner that goes out successfully in his first bid and gets the signatures of his neighbors. So I think you did your due diligence there. As it relates to the living space, I think anytime a Lowellian plans to stay in Lowell and bring on board a parent is commendable. So your mother and father did a good service in raising you. So as far as the plot plan goes and the architectural plan, I think aesthetically the property is going to increase the neighborhood look. You do maintain a great property. I have been by there. I do support this, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, Mr. Perrin.
Thank you, Gary. Kevin?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I guess a lot of the comments that have been said, I agree with. I went to the property. I actually ran into a couple of your neighbors who I spoke with and knew some of them. I didn't realize were your neighbors, but they were all very supportive of it. The only question I had is, was any thought, and I think I know the answer why before I even ask it, but was any thought given to putting the structure on the other side of the house? I assume that's maybe bedrooms on that side?
I just don't think that it would work on that side of the house, only because of a few things, is the elevation already over there.
Does it change? Yeah.
And I can tell you when I put fencing and stuff like that in the yard years back, there's quite a bit of, not ledge, but rock over there, and I didn't know what I was gonna get into when we originally thought about putting it on that side of the property as well. And it's just, I just didn't think that it would really, work too well on that side of the property.
Okay.
Especially one of the things that I considered was, the walk from the driveway, because it's be considerable walk from my driveway from my dad. I'm trying to make things easier for him, so
That's right.
this side would not be as far of a walk from to go in the house and whatnot.
Okay, I see there's a bulkhead over there actually as
Yeah.
well for egress from the current basement. But other than that, I think it's a good plan. I feel for your situation in going forward, and I support it. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Kevin. Dennis?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I just want to make a few comments on your design here, but before I do that, I just want to ask, what's going on with the parking? You've only got 2 parking spaces? I mean, a house this size, I mean, you've got a
Right,
a great
there'll be,
square footage.
no,
Yeah.
there'll be, what I'm going to propose, I think, is the existing 2 parking spaces that I have there, and then I could also, if I had to, or if the building department at the time recommended me putting a different, parking spot in for him. Other than that, there's plenty of street parking if I needed to be. My street alone, I think, only has 12 houses on it. It's not, and my street is not like a cut-through street. If you don't get on my street, you pretty much either live on it or you're lost. So in the event that they didn't like me taking up the green space, that was another concern. I don't want to take green space. I know that they, I hear they talk about green space. I have no problem for the time being of parking my vehicle in the street, you know what I mean? So if the city had a concern with it, then I would, address it and do something like that.
I think you've locked yourself into a scenario here where you have 2 parking spaces. I think there's a requirement for a curb cut width that's something like 20 feet or something wide, if I remember right.
In the SSF district, it's 15 feet.
15 feet wide.
So it could be a little bit of a challenge to fit 2 parking spaces side by side like this. Mr.
I already
Lisnanek
have 2 side by side.
Could actually narrow that down at the curb opening so that it meets that.
Well, I guess my point is to your suggestion of having a 3rd spot, that's really kind of changing things a
Well,
bit.
what I
so-
would have to do if, I just didn't want to take green space away. I mean, I don't have a problem parking in the street, and I mean, there's people parking the street all around the city of Lowell. I didn't see why it would be a problem for me, to be honest with you, but if I had to, my existing driveway is 2 cars wide. I could fan off, which would be in front of the the proposed structure, and put another parking spot, but
I like your suggestion of parking in the street a little bit better.
I would rather personally park in the street. I don't,
Okay.
I actually enjoy my lawn and that type of stuff, so I didn't want to take away from green space. I have no problem myself parking in the street
Good,
if there's no
good,
concern
good.
with anybody here.
I think the massing is good in that you chose to leave that nice yard space on the right, which I think the neighborhood kind of enjoys some green space there, and that nice big yard that you have is preserved, and then you've got the house, not exactly crowding, but you have it tucked into.
That's
the
another
side.
reason why I did that. My children are 9, 6, and 4, so I also, on the right side of my house, if you're looking at my house, I wanted to keep that for them to be able to
Great.
just be kids and play ball and do whatever they wanted to do.
It's great for neighborhoods to have green space like that. It's nice. The back of the yard has a lot of things going on. We've got the deck and you've got the shed, and then you've got the back of the addition with the bump out. So it seems like it's not that big of a hardship for me to accept, especially where it's a nice looking bump out, where you've kind of got a nice massing for the back of the house. I think it's great to see that you listen to your architect and you have a very nicely designed addition here with the additional bump out in the back and in the front, and you have stone veneer as well?
Excuse me?
You have a stone veneer on the front of the house? Is that what you're anticipating?
I currently, just on the existing part that's actually there right now, I wanted to keep it, like I said, aesthetically the same. I have cultured stone, is that what you're talking about on the foundation? I already have that on my foundation. That's just a foundation. It's actually a crawl space underneath.
Nice.
And
nice.
I want to continue that so it gives the same appearance as the whole house will look like it's the same foundation.
Nice job. I think there's a lot of benefit to doing this, and I'm glad you chose this side. I know that the FAR is an issue, but frankly, I have a hard time with that whole calculation myself. So that's kind of, the only issue I see is the bump out in the back, but the benefit to the facade and the fact that you have a shed and a deck there kind of soften it, so nice job.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Mr. McCarthy.
Okay.
Okay. It wasn't done. Thank you, Dennis. Melissa.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I just want to first off say that I really sympathize and empathize with what your family's going through. Both my partner and I have aging parents and totally understand the challenge, and I really appreciate that your family has decided to bring them in. And I also want to just commend you for rallying up your neighbors and checking in with them as well. I also agree that the elevations, the architectural design and details are really beautiful, and I think it'll look really great. Regarding the bump out at the rear elevation though, I am having a very difficult time. Your response to that question was because it was a good architectural design, a good aesthetics for the rear elevation. However, for me, as in granting a variance, there are specific criteria that we have to follow, and one of them is a hardship. Whereas your family situation is a hardship, I fully support the addition. I don't think the bump out for the architectural design is equal to a hardship. And even though you have abutters now who support this project as is, I'm concerned that future, new abutters or even the current ones might say, well, he has a variance, now I'm going to try to get a variance as well. So I'm a little concerned about approving that. So while I support the addition itself, I don't support approving a variance. That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Carino.
Thank you, Melissa. Well, I think, first of all, I went through the 3 points that the city had raised, and I think you were pretty direct on how you answered the questions. The other thing is, as far as, Corey mentioned about seeking neighborhood input, I think since I've sat on this board, that's always wise to get an idea of the pulse of the neighborhood to make sure what you're proposing isn't going to be in deference to them, and all of a sudden you show up with a great plan and everybody in the neighborhood's against it. So I applaud you for, reaching out and getting some type of consensus from your neighbors. I mean, obviously, your home right now and the way it's laid out, I took a ride by there. I know we've had a couple of different projects down on that street anyway, so in fact, I might be wrong, but I think we even had a new construction down the end of your street at one point.
Yeah, there was just one across the street too that was put in maybe like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So there's
So
been a few.
I think we've had a few petitions on that particular street, and I think both of them were for variances, if I think back. So with that said, I agree a lot with Dennis's comments regarding the existing landscape there. I know when I looked at the plans, if I look at the existing deck that you have there and based on the requirements, and I know there was discussion about certain permits and whatever. And the woodshed, I know when I took a look at your property from the street with the woodshed, it's a pretty good size shed they have. I know I keep talking about I'm going to put a shed in, but I never get to it. But I was trying to size up your current state that you had and what you're putting in for an addition. I agree a lot with Dennis's comments regarding current state and what it's going to look like in the future. So I also appreciate Melissa's comments on the bump out. I think I asked Aaron, his observations on that as it was stated from the city. So I think all in all, it looks like a very good project. I don't think I heard, did anybody have a condition? Was there anything I missed? I don't think there was anything from anybody. I know we're not talking about the parking, but I know there was discussion about parking. You currently have parking for...
without the structure that's proposed, I currently have probably about 4 spots.
Yeah,
But
that's...
I will have 2 for sure after. And I had no problem, again, I wanted to keep the green space because, you know, I enjoy my yard and my lawn and that type of thing, so
Yeah.
I had no problem with parking in the
So you're
street.
gonna lose 2 spots because of the,
Yeah, because I have spots that run up along the side of my property,
Yeah.
which would be where the new I'm sorry,
Right.
the new proposed structure will be.
yeah,
So I could probably get like 2 cars, like when I have family over for like a kid's birthday party or something. I usually get a couple of cars up there, my wife's and I, to give space, you know, for that type of thing. So people come over, they
Yeah,
still have a
'cause there
couple
was-
in that.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I mean, there was no discussion around parking, right, Aaron? I mean, there was no,
Is it part of the application? No, I mean, what's shown on the site plan, as Mr. Lesniak's pointing out, is that there's
Right.
existing pavement there.
Yep.
It's wide enough to accommodate 2 parking spaces side by side. So it sounds to me that there's no proposed new paving. If there was additional paving that increased the size of the opening, as was mentioned, I think Mr. McCarthy mentioned, that actually would require another variance because the maximum curb
Right.
opening is 15 feet. But as the proposal's been submitted, there's no change to the curb opening.
Yep.
It's just
Yep.
actually a reduction in the size of it. And just from a department perspective, I think this is a good solution because it minimizes paving, reduction of open space, and provides off-street parking.
okay. Well, I heard comments about it, but I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anything. But all in all, I think it's a good project. Again, I appreciate you getting out to the neighborhood and getting some feedback. And as you submitted this evening, I think we received this before, but this is good to see. Any other comments from any other board members? Hearing none, could I have a motion, please?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, the matter before us is ZB 2013-30 for a variance at 20 Wollaston Street. I make a motion to approve.
Have a second?
Second.
Have a roll call?
Mr. Belanger,
Approve.
Mr. Bailey,
Approved.
Mr. Perrin,
Approve.
Mr. Ahern,
Approve.
Mr. McCarthy.
Approve.
Okay, sir, you've been approved. Wish you the best of luck.
Good luck.
Thank you
Your
so
project.
much. Thank you all for your time tonight.
Yep, thank you.
I signed that too, by the way.
I knocked on, I did Douglas Road today.
Neighborhood meeting or anything?
Yep, I missed, just like 2 of them. I missed, Yep, everywhere, you know?
Good night, gentlemen.
Okay, our next matter before us is under other business. We have minutes from August 12th and August 26th. Any comments from any of the board members? Hearing none, could I have a motion to approve?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the minutes from our August 12th, 2013 meeting and approve the minutes from our August 26th, 2013 meeting.
I'll second the motion.
Have a roll call?
Mr. Belanger,
Approve.
Mr. Bailey,
Approved.
Mr. Perrin,
Approve.
Mr. Ahern,
Approve.
Mr. McCarthy.
Approve.
Okay, any other comments from any other board members? Hearing none, next meeting is when, Aaron?
Quick math. 23rd, I believe.
Okay. And we received a couple of petitions for the next meeting?
Yeah, I think that there was applications submitted, and
Yep.
I handed them out tonight for that meeting was a special permit to reduction for parking in the TMU zoning district for a restaurant. It's on Mammoth Road. And the other one is on Hoyt. Is it Hoyt Street?
Hoyt.
I don't know that one as well, but I think it's a couple of variances involved with that one. But
Okay.
we'll provide comments for both of those hopefully by next Monday.
Okay, could I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Second?
Second it.
So moved. Good evening.